There's only 3 things that YouTube cares about when it comes to growing a YouTube channel.
Ali Abdaal has grown a social media empire. He's amassed millions of followers across his email list, his YouTube channel, his Twitter, and his Instagram. So in this video, we're gonna have a look at Ali Abdaal's most honest advice for content creators.
I was making very niche videos teaching people how to get into med school in the UK for specific university, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, UCL. Those were the only things I was targeting. Very, very, very niche audience, but I had an unfair advantage in that space because I was a medical student at Cambridge and I'd been running courses teaching people how to get into med school for like 5 years at that point. So I was making videos about what I knew. I wasn't trying to make videos trying to be a general productivity self-help guru because that wasn't even on the radar. It was literally just how do I add value to people that I'm comfortable I can add value to.
Unlike most YouTubers, Ali wasn't interested in being famous or making money from the get-go. He was only interested in adding value. Little did he know it was this that would propel him to success.
Amy Porterfield has a concept she calls the 10% edge. Who is the audience that you're 10% ahead of that you can illuminate the path for? You can be a guide rather than a guru.
Instead of trying to be a guru, you should focus on being a guide. Your content should try its best to focus on helping the people who are 10% behind you. That way you don't get overwhelmed from making it out as if you're some kind of expert. You're helping people with things that you know well because you have just done them.
We really just need to figure out what is the 80-20? Like, how do we really 80-20 the hell out of this stuff? So how do I put in a small amount of time to get the maximum bang for my buck in terms of content? Now, when it comes to YouTube in particular, that comes from basically title and thumbnail in terms of the packaging of the video. If no one clicks on the title and thumbnail, no one's actually going to see the content. So spending a decent chunk of time on the packaging is super helpful. But then when it comes to the content, I think the hook plus the structure is the main thing. So for the hook, it would be the first 30 seconds. And for the structure, it would be the sort of rough 3-part structure of video. Content creation can be systemized. I think people think of content creation as like a creativity thing. It's not really a creativity thing. It's more like systems and processes and SOPs thing. And actually, there was a sick quote I read. Creativity is a systematic process. And I always thought creativity was like some mystical thing. I was like, I don't think I'm very creative. It's like, I need creative energy, left brain, all of that stuff. But actually, it's a systematic process. It's like that quote from some famous writer that I only write when inspiration strikes. Luckily, it strikes at 9 a.m. every morning. And I found that the more I can systemize my content creation, the less I need to worry about me being a creative person and the more I can actually just get results for my business.
One of the hardest things for content creators is that they feel like they always have to have ideas for content. But instead of making new videos when you have that spark of inspiration, Ali thinks it's way better to systemize it. Find what works for you and develop a system around making content.
There's no easy answer to this. Everyone, I think, wants a magic bullet for consistency, but really it's about patience and it's about faith. It's about patience that it takes a long time for this stuff to see results. And it's about faith that if you do the right things and show up consistently, that eventually the results will come.
There is no crazy secret to growing on YouTube insanely fast. All you can do really is show up. Even Ali didn't grow overnight. He started making videos 6 years ago. And although he started slow, look at where he is now.
And that's why personally for me, I find that the main strategy for consistency is to set input goals. Goals that are within my control. Like, it's not within my control whether I hit 10,000 subscribers. It's not within my control whether I get 1 million views on a video, but it is within my control. Can I show up every week and share something authentically that I feel would add value to my target audience? And if the answer to that is yes, and I can find a way to make that process at least vaguely enjoyable and just know that I'm going to do it for 2 years, this is the thing I tell my students. If you want to do YouTube, commit to posting a video every single week for 2 years. That's the kind of time horizon you need to basically guarantee that it's going to change your life. The problem is when people do it like, I'm not seeing any results 2 months later. I'm still terrible at making videos. I've never talked to a camera before in my life, but for some reason, I'm expecting results from day one.
All you need to do is be consistent and focus on the inputs, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. Just keep giving people value at a constant rate. So how do you actually start making content consistently?
Level 1 is get going. And this is like your first 3 videos. Now, if you're starting completely from scratch and you have 0 experience, then a huge hurdle that holds people up from starting a YouTube channel is actually just not getting started with the thing in the first place.
Hundreds of creators get stuck in the ideation phase, and that's because they can't decide on their niche. For Ali, it's more important that you just get started.
So what I'd be doing is I'd just be making 3 videos. Maybe they're shorts, maybe they're videos I don't even edit. Maybe I'm just making them on my phone and speaking to the camera and uploading them to a new YouTube channel. I would create a channel, create maybe some channel art on Canva or something like that. And this is kind of like the first 3 dates that you go on someone if you're in the dating world. You know, you're kind of getting to know them, you're seeing if you vibe, And in those 3 videos, I'd get some pretty good insight into how I feel about making videos. I'm going to be absolutely terrible at it because, like with any skill, it takes ages to get good at the thing. But at least at the start, I've made some kind of effort in doing it. Like, for example, if you're watching this right now and you haven't yet started a YouTube channel, I suspect the thing that's holding you back is probably overthinking. I suspect it's probably overthinking about your niche. What the hell do I make videos about? Why would anyone watch my content? Will people at my job respond poorly to the fact I have a YouTube channel? All of that overthinking just gets in the way of people. That's why level 1 is to get going and just make those first 3 videos.
Nothing has to be perfect the first time around. You can just make those first 3 videos, like Ali said, and just try out whether it's something that you want to do long term. Test out how you feel and see what content resonates with you most, and then start focusing on your niche.
And if you can get these 3 things right, then you're completely off to the races and your channel will explode and you'll become a millionaire. And those 3 things are: number 1, click; number 2, watch time; and number 3, satisfaction. So firstly, the click. This is the importance of titles and thumbnails and idea generation and concept. No one is ever going to watch your video unless they click on your video. And so the first step to success on YouTube is earning the click. Your titles and thumbnails and concepts need to be sufficiently intriguing that someone actually clicks on the video. Secondly, we have watch time. Now, the YouTube algorithm cares a lot about how much of your video someone has watched, because the YouTube algorithm is ultimately trying to serve the right video to the right viewer at the right time. And so if a viewer is watching a lot of your video, it means they're getting continuous value from that video. And so watch time is a great signal for the algorithm to then promote your video to more people that are similar to that viewer that watched it for a long time. So we've gotten people to click with our title and thumbnail. We've gotten people to watch the video with everything about the video actually being good. And then we want to leave people satisfied. Now, increasingly, the algorithm is talking a lot more about satisfaction. It's looking at signals, according to my YouTube partner manager, who I speak to fairly regularly, signals like, likes and comments and things. But also YouTube has started putting these surveys for a percentage of their users that you might have seen when you're browsing YouTube. And they've got tons of other signals for viewer satisfaction. So it's not necessarily that you need to get people to watch 100% of your hour-long video, but YouTube has good ways of knowing were people satisfied as a result of the video that they watched.
Because of that, you don't need to worry about subscriber counts, and you don't need to worry about people sharing your YouTube video to third-party platforms. These are the only 3 that matter, and the only ones that will grow your YouTube channel.
And then the next question we have to answer in the strategy piece is, why would someone watch my videos rather than the other videos on this topic? Now, most niches that you might want to go into on YouTube are kind of crowded. These days, productivity, personal development, all of this kind of stuff, ridiculously crowded.
Everyone likes to say that YouTube is too saturated, and that's why your videos get 0 views. But that's just not true. You just don't know how to stand out.
And so you need a way of standing out in a crowded market. So again, the method that we teach for this, there's like 2 things to understand here. There's number 1, the market, and number 2, your edge. So firstly, we've got understanding the market. And here we want to apply the principles that a business would use, which is why we're treating YouTube as a business. Let's say you wanted to start a new business. Let's say you decided, I want to open an Italian restaurant on my local high street. You wouldn't just decide to open an Italian restaurant on your local high street. You would do some market analysis. You would see, what other Italian restaurants are there in my local area? What other restaurants are there in my local area? What are the coffee shops? What's the clientele like? What's the sort of income of people walking through the area? You'd be doing a lot of analysis before you pull the trigger and just randomly decide to open up an Italian restaurant. And so we'd analyze the market, and then we'd figure out our competitive or authentic edge. And this isn't necessarily about being better. In fact, I think being better is like the worst way of doing this. Firstly, because better is in the eye of the beholder, and also it just takes way more work. But there are loads of other domains in which you could stand out. For example, in terms of the depth of research you go into your videos, in terms of storytelling, in terms of editing, in terms of relatability and authenticity. Maybe you're male in a female-dominated industry, or female in a male-dominated industry. Maybe you're the only person of color who's making that kind of content, and so you're appealing to other people of color just like you.
Everyone has an edge that they can utilize. This is the unique thing that will make you stand out above all the other people dominating the market.
A lot of the reasons why people don't start a channel at all is because of fear. There's some sort of fear that's holding them back. How did you get over that fear? And I guess what was that experience of getting over the fear of starting the channel initially?
Getting over the fear of starting was a combination of a few things. I think the first thing that I had to realize was, if I don't try this, I'll never know if I could do it and if I could push myself. And realistically, all the fear is in my head. And so if I can think of ways to reframe it and embrace it instead of resist it, that would help me to actually get going and do this thing. So for me, that looked like reminding myself that probably no one's going to be watching my videos to start with, which was true. They only got like a few hundred views maybe for months and months and months. My videos would like cap at like maybe 200 views, 300 views for most of my videos. So I was like, okay, cool. This kind of feels like a safe space where it doesn't really matter if it's embarrassing or if it's bad. I can just put something out there and probably no one's going to watch it anyway. So that kind of felt like, okay, that feels safe.
Everyone wants their first channel to be perfect, and that's only natural. And while it's good to focus on getting out quality and pumping out as much value as possible, it's not going to happen in an instant. You can slowly improve your content as you continue, because it's better to start bad than to never start at all.
In the course, we talk about this idea of proof of work. The audience wants to see proof that you have done the work. And you can do that by clearly showing that, hey, I've been on this journey and this is what I applied. You can do it by doing loads of reading, loads of research, but that's one of the ways that you really stand out in a saturated market. But if you'd started out just making videos about 5 productivity tips, how I stay organized with Notion, it's like hundreds of people are already doing those things.
When you start off the video, you have to prove that the value you're giving is coming from the work that you have done yourself. You can do this really easily by saying something at the start of your video, like for example, I spent 10 years learning sales, and this will give you credibility in what you're about to say.
Try not to worry too much about the metrics going on in the YouTube studio. They are helpful, especially some bits of the analytics around like click-through rate for thumbnails and titles early on in a video's performance, or things like A/B testing, which kind of use the metrics to inform decisions around thumbnails and titles. But other than that, try to keep the creative spirit alive and find that sense of fun and enjoyment in what you're making, to be truly making content that you're really proud of.
I've seen hundreds of other YouTubers get stuck on the metrics in YouTube Studio. They just want to get that perfect 1 out of 10 video with the most likes, comments, and best retention. But those metrics are not there for you to beat. They're there to inform the next piece of content that you make. You should just see them as tools to understand your content and also understand your audience. For example, if you see a dip in retention every time you touch on a particular topic, then maybe most of your viewers don't really find that interesting. And then the next time you make that video, you can swap it out and then see how it performs. And so that was Ali's best advice for content creators. Also, if you want to put out as much content as Ali, then check the link in the description below to try out Cast Magic. Now you know how to grow as a content creator just like Ali, you might be interested in how to scale and build a business that's worth millions just like Ali. So make sure to check out this video here where I'll show you how Ali actually makes money using content creation. Thanks for watching.